And in Parliament was further deployed to this all-important portfolio committee on basic education by the Chief Whip of the majority party, Honorable Pemi Majodina. On top of that, my home is in Limpopo, and my town is Tzaneen. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Shelley Mukhotu. I'm a member of the National Assembly. I've been deployed by the Economic Freedom Fighters. My home is at Northwest in Bujanala region, Moses Kotane sub-region. I'm also a member of the Basic Education Portfolio Committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nombuyiselo Adiones. I'm the member of the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education from Parliament, and I'm deployed by the African National Congress. Thank you.
Sanbonani, good afternoon. My name is Bafuze Yabo. I'm a member of Parliament in the National Assembly, part of the 6th Parliament. I'm also a member of this Portfolio Committee on Basic Education. I'm deployed to Parliament by the oldest liberation movement in Africa, the African National Congress. Siyabonga.
Sanbonani, igama lami ngulusiwe wakangubane oyimlunga leshamthetho sakaZulu Natal, oyimember ye-Portfolio Committee yaka Education, ngivela ngaphansi kwenhlangano i-African National Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for the opportunity. Sanbona, igama lami nguMbali Shinga, ngi-MPL in the KZN legislature. I serve in the Education Portfolio Committee. I am under pressure to say I come from the National Freedom Party. Ngiyabonga.
Good afternoon and greetings to everybody. Thank you for this opportunity, Chairperson. I am Dr. Imran Kika. I think we are not accustomed to this, Chairperson, of saying which parties we come from, but I'll say it anyway. With much pride, I must say. So I am deployed to the Education Portfolio Committee in the Kwa-Zulu Natal legislature, where I am a member by the Democratic Alliance in Kwa-Zulu Natal. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, honorable members. Now we are going to request Uba Mundlebe from the Department of Basic Education. They are the ones that we are facilitating the bill for. So he is going to give us a short brief, and then after that we will proceed. Honorable Yabo is going to proceed with the chairing of the meeting immediately after Ubabondlewe. Thank you, Siyabong. Babondlewe.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, honorable members from National Assembly, honorable members from the Provincial Legislature, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon. We come from the basic education. We are responsible for the proposals that you have in your hand, which we call the Bella Bill. That Bella Bill emanates from the fact that the South African education system is run through what we call the South African Schools Act. This was enacted in 1986. Now, from 1986 to 2023, a lot has happened, a lot has changed. Now, the country needs to keep abreast with the changes that are there. And then we have suggested to have certain changes made to the South African Schools Act. And there are about 56 of them in the document that you have. They range from a variety of clauses that were put in there with the aim of trying to make education be in line with the Constitution of South Africa, which talks to respect, which talks to protection of education, to promoting and fulfilling all those laws that are in the Constitution of the country. So you'll find the 56 clauses that you have in your hand covering issues such as procurement, covering issues like home education, the merger and closure of school, which is very important now in KZN, the lease agreement with landowners. You're going to talk about subsidies of independent schools. You're going to talk more about attendance of learners in schools to make it compulsory. But more importantly, when you go through the bill, we're trying to close gaps that are not found in SASSA. Part of the gaps is that now the Department of Basic Education has been given the responsibility to run ECD from the Department of Social Development. The first thing that we need to do as a department is to recognize grade R as a formal class in the education system. That is not in SASSA. So in order for us to have that grade R being a formal class, we need to change the act and allow for that. And those who run schools in the school system, they'll realize that grade R has been funded by parents themselves, and that they pay school fees for grade R. There's nothing like no-fee school or things like those. Even the post-establishment of grade R is not determined by government. Parents are paying for the teachers that teach in grade R. So in order for us to make it a formal class, so that we say school is grade R to 12, we need to put it in an act, and that's one of the things that you'll find there. There has been a lot of disruptions of education by members of communities that will have challenges with government for whatever reason. It might be water, it might be the creation of roads, it might be electricity. But when communities are up in arms, the first thing that they think of is to lock down the school. Sometimes you find community members, just an individual school, you arrive in a school, it's locked, and people are proud to tell you that they have locked the school because they have grievances with the principal or the SGB and all that. We want to put it in a law to make that unlawful and illegal, the closing of schools, that people who will in future close schools, may they face the law of the mighty. That's what the act is trying to indicate. You're going to find in that bill that you have in your hands that we're trying as well to change the code of conduct of learners in schools. We want the code of conduct that will respect and have cultural differences and respect religious differences in a school. At the moment, we're getting a lot of violence in schools. We're getting a lot of abuses in schools. But our code of conduct are not in line with the activities and the actions that take place in a school. So we're trying to indicate issues that we regard as serious misconduct in schools and those that are minor misconduct, so that when we deal with issues of suspensions of learners and expulsion of learners, it is very clear for SGBs what to do and what to follow. So you will find that those issues of code of conduct that are listed in them. There are issues of corporal punishment that are listed in those clauses, which broadens the scope of the definition of corporal punishment. That is not, it is not just physically application of force to a learner, but there are other issues that also include the emotional treatment of learners that are now grouped under corporal punishment. It is in that act. We also are prohibiting initiations It happens especially in grade 8 learners as they arrive in a school as freshers. Then they are exposed to different types of treatment which we believe they are unconstitutional and they should not be allowed to go in there. The Act also responds to the question that we've been asked many times. How does the department regulate the sales of alcohol that takes place in schools? It does take place in schools. It's happening in schools where they have functions, where they have sporting activities, where parents sit in a particular corner and they are sold that. So as a department, we thought we can't just let that happen as it is happening. There need to be some regulations and steps to regulate that practice, that whoever wants to be involved in those activities, we provide necessary guidelines on how to apply, how to get permission and all that. So it is in that act. The proposal also goes on strengthening issues of school governing bodies. At the moment, provincial departments are responsible for the SGB elections and they come up with their own regulations. And this makes the entire SGB election nationally to be compromised because provinces may want to differ. So we wanted a national way of conducting SGB elections with one regulation that is determined by the minister. That clause will also include how other structures of school governing bodies that have not been in SASA, such as school of specialization, schools of special needs, how the SGBs are structured are so different. Because if it's a school of special needs for the blind, you need community members that are not necessarily parents to get involved in there. So the Act will try and simplify that thing. The Act that you're proposing will also allow school governing bodies themselves to co-opt more members, even if they don't live in the vicinity of the school, to help them run the SGB if they have the expertise to do that. So that's what we're asking, that it be included in them. We're also looking at the financial issues. Schools no longer use checks. We now use debit orders. We use debit cards. And we have realized that with the use of debit cards, there is a lot of mismanagement of funds that go on there. We then suggest as the department that would like schools to provide us with quarterly financial reports, especially on the expenditures. At the moment, they're only doing that annually. And when they do that annually, we have a challenge that it is too late to discover mismanagement as we go along. So rather, let's do it on a quarterly basis, and at the end of the year, we'll have that. So that is a clause that we're putting in there. And we're also saying SGBs that serve in this, members of the SGB that serve there, we're proposing that they also get vetted as they deal with financial management of the schools. The other issues will affect teachers, where we're saying teachers should not be allowed to do business with the state, where they have tenders and work for the state and get money in there. So these are some of the things that have been put in. But other sticky issues that are there is that we suggesting as the department that we then have the policy on language that is done by the SGBs to continue to be done by the SGB, with a rider that should that policy not be in line with the Constitution and the laws of the country, then the HOD must step in. For example, if the language policy of the school is discriminatory in any way, the HOD must be allowed to work with the SGB and solve that type of a problem. It's a matter of access. It's a matter of transformation. That if an SGB has all the authority to determine a language and nobody adjudicate around it, then it means we're not going to have more and more learners getting access there. The issue of language is critical for us as a department because we're now preaching mother tongue teaching. And it is not possible to introduce mother tongue if There will be SGBs that are going to refuse the admission of learners in the vicinity where the school is situated because the language policy is determined by them. The language policy also goes together with the admission policy, that the SGB will determine the admission policy, but in the area where they are. But should the admission policy found to be discriminatory in any way and not in line with the Constitution, we request that the HOD must be asked to step in and work with the SGB and correct that type of a misalignment where possible. And these are basically the most important aspect of the bill. I said there are 56 of them, and we're now asking Parliament to approve the 56, depending on what you're going to say to Parliament. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Ndadendlebe. Now, I'm going to quickly run through the rules of engagement. And these rules of engagement are going to apply to everyone without exception. And I think it's important that we outline them before we proceed with our meeting. The first rule is that I am going to take hands to speak, and each hand will be numbered by myself as I pick you. For ease of reference, I will try and describe you with what you are wearing so that I don't confuse you with the next person. And you are going to come and sit on one of these chairs. We have our parliamentary protection services who are manning the chairs to usher you onto the chairs. Each speaker will have approximately, or in fact, will have 3 minutes. Let me not approximate. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. When the 3 minutes is up, I will indicate that the 3 minutes is up. Without further ado, without argument, without trying to finish or close off a fact or a point, you are going to stop speaking, recuse yourself from the microphone, and allow the next speaker when the 3 minutes is done. When you speak, you are going to introduce yourself, give us your name and your surname. And then you are going to indicate whether you support or you do not support the bill. This is for record-keeping purposes. I know there are others who get tempted to partially. Yeah, there are those partialists. Please, for record purposes, indicate whether you support or you do not support. Once you are done stating whether you support or you do not, substantiate then your position. You may not like everything in the bill, and so you can indicate that there are aspects you would like to see changed. You may like certain aspects of the bill, and then you may indicate those things that you like. But it is important for us, for record-keeping purposes, that we know whether you support or you do not support this bill. And finally, there are those who are shy to speak on the microphone. And if you are one of those people, there are forms which are available. See the lady with the glasses and the black golfer on? Please get one form for yourself. Fill it in and hand it back to the staff on the table. Don't try any manga business of filling in for your whole family who are not here. All right? Just fill in for yourself. One form. That will be your view. And if you have filled a form, please don't raise your hand to speak. Your voice will be captured on the form. All right. Are we together with the rules of engagement? Are we in agreement? Thank you very much. I hope that when I cut you when the 3 minutes is up, you will not refer to me as a bully. All right? I have never been a bully. I do not like bullies. So I'm stating it up front so that we are in agreement. All right, I'm going to start taking hands from this side. So you can relax a bit. Once we're done with them, I'll come to you. And I'm going to start with the woman who opened with a prayer for us, the gentleman behind her, the ma'am on the same row, yes, number 3. You are number 3, so you can stand and go sit. The gentleman right on the same row, number 4. The gentleman with the glasses, number 5. The lady with the turquoise jersey, number 6. The lady next to her, number 7. The lady right there with the glasses, yes, number 8. How many chairs do we have? How many chairs do we have? How many? 2 chairs remain, okay. I'm going to take the gentleman with the bald head, yes, number 9. And I'm going to take the lady with the purple jersey, number 10. All right, if I missed your hand, don't worry, I'll come back again, all right? I'll come back again. We are here until 4 o'clock, so there's still a bit of time. All right, I'm going to allow the first speaker to make their input. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members. My name is Rashida Naidu. I object to the proposed amendments to the Bella Bill in its entirety. I only have time to mention this one point. So I want to make reference to the amendment of Section 12A of Act 84 of 96 as inserted by Section 8 of Act 48 of 99. So I'm referring to point number 13 of Section 12A in the SA Schools Act of 96. I'm opposed to the closure of schools and increased schools mergers, especially in rural areas. This will deeply hurt and affect the economy of the children, the families, the communities, the staff, the educators, the headmasters, some who live, many whom I have met there, are incredibly dedicated teachers and educators as well as inspectors who are the real fabric of our community there. It is the child's constitutional right to be educated. Why should parents who have homes in rural areas now pay for their children to commute, to wake up early, to travel far, and be expected to excel in their schooling? This is not in the best interest of the children in our nation and their families. This is not in the best interest of their safety even. There are so many predators right now who seek to abduct our precious young girls and boys. So I propose that a proper economic, socioeconomic impact assessment must be undertaken. How can government have a plan to close hundreds of schools? The biggest schools have up to 70 children in their class, and the parents are choosing the smaller schools. Zuzulwazi High School in Taylorsholt has 50 children per grade in their grade 11 class. This is 25 children too many to give individual attention to and to provide a proper education. This school is only 40 minutes from where we're standing right now, and they still have pit toilets. And we need to bring these children, these schools, into the 21st century and actually invest in them. So some days there's no water. How can we justify spending 17 billion rand to enforce grade R compulsory for all children, and there aren't even decent sanitary conditions in our current schooling? I propose a moratorium, a temporary suspension of an activity or law being passed before the closure of these schools even is considered. So this decision will gravely hurt the impoverished in our society, where drugs and gangsterism are right now killing our precious children. What will happen to them? These actions seek to keep the poorer children down and actually not lift them up. This is absolute wickedness. For a brighter South Africa for all, I oppose the proposed bill. Father God, my prayer is that He will have mercy on
Your
us
time is up.
and you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members. My name's Garth Martins. Thank you for giving up your time to be here, your family time, to hear us. I really do appreciate that. I'd like it to go on record that I reject the Bella Bill as it stands today. I'm going to focus on Clause 37 due to time constraints because all I can give you is 3 minutes of what the next 13 years of our family life is about in schooling. We do not home educate because it's cheaper. We do it because God called us as a family to do it. That's where we stand. I'm personally offended that a country claiming to be democratic can try and pass legislation without consultation from the people who will be most affected. As diverse as what you are up there, with your beliefs and everything, you stand to bring the country together. Well, we believe that we need a diverse education system. I jokingly said to my wife, and she said, please don't say this, but I'm going to say it to you, is maybe it shouldn't be basic education. We should look at an advanced education system where there's strengths in a homeschooling environment, strengths in technical education, strengths in academia. I didn't do well because I'm not academic, but put me into the practical arena and I'm good. What real-world research has been done on what we're talking about? We homeschool our 3 children. I'm going to jump ahead because I think what I can tell you about my 13-year-old son, Caleb here, who I'm so proud to be his dad. Caleb watched us bring in a bale of jackets when things were tight over COVID, and at the end of COVID, we bought and imported second-hand jackets. He came to us after and said, Dad, can I do that? And he bought children's jackets. He took money from mowing the lawn. He asked me to mow the lawn because he wanted to make some extra money. And he bought jackets, 4,000 rands worth of jackets, 13-year-old boy, with his own money earned by him. He made 8,000 rand, so he doubled his money. That's real-world education. That's living it on the edge. Do you know that he saved 4,000 rand? He didn't spend it all. His next bale of jackets arrived yesterday. He's ordered another one because he wants to double his business. This is education. This is what the real world needs. I didn't get taught that in my Port Shepstone High School. I got taught academics and I battled. But put it into reality. We're doing maths here. We're doing so many different parts of education. But it's all rolled into life. It's life and dealing with people. It's life. Look at this. This is why I brought my boy here, to learn what democracy is about. So guys, this is my heart for this country. And I'm calling you guys, sorry, honourable members. It's the diversity of our country. We need to be diverse.
Time is up.
Okay.
Good afternoon to all the ministers, officials, our local communities, and all protocol observed. My name is Ruxana Ahmed. I'm a ward councillor in Msunduzi, and I'm here today on behalf of my constituencies to speak on their behalf. I welcome the Basic Education Law Amendment Bill, which says that grade R is now going to become part of the school billing system, so to speak. I have, over the years, gone through tears of parents, frustrations at school, and depression of little children who do not have the opportunity to be sent to grade R because their parents cannot afford it, and the parents then could not access the school fees concession. So I want to say I agree on this, and I welcome this on behalf of my constituents. In terms of academics, I want to put a call through. When I was growing up, we understood that some people are academics and meant to be teachers and professionals, etc. But over the years, I have found that you have the same amount of skills whether you are a dressmaker, a hairdresser, a carpenter, or a plumber. The situation we face now, and I want the Department of Education to look into this. At Ward 31, or around Pietermaritzburg, we have many they call TVETs, FETs, whatever. The problem we are having is, at the inception of these colleges, they are functioning courses for people within the community. As it stands at present, we have huge buildings that only provide for 2 or 3 courses. Now, this is stifling communities that are trying to get their children qualified in what the government says, that you need to skill yourself to become an entrepreneur because there is not enough work in South Africa. How do we do that if we are not allowing communities to access what is in their doorstep? So I'm asking you to please look at our FET colleges and to increase the amount of courses that that community or any community will want. I thank you all.
Thank you very much. Before the next speaker speaks, it's been brought to my attention that there might be some of you who brought their own filled-in forms, which are unofficial forms. I'm going to ask you humbly that please pick up the forms the lady has and just transfer what you might have on your form to that form. And I would like to make a second request also, that those who have spoken and those who had finished filling in their forms, because of space challenges, could you kindly, if you do not mind, recuse us so that we make space for those who are still coming in. This is obviously a request, but those who may want to still continue with the session, you are welcome to do so. We are just trying to manage a situation of overflowing numbers because of the size of the venue. Thank you very much. You can proceed, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Chairperson, members of Parliament and members of the Provincial Legislature and my fellow compatriots. I welcome the amendment. My name is Mr. M.A. Mngcwabe with the Education Department, a person who deals with the implementation of the law daily. And I want to make this before I make my submission. The real test of any legislation is in its application and its implementation, Chairperson. I want to confine myself to Clause 18, amendment of Section 23. And if I am afforded another opportunity at some stage, I will come back with some submission on other clauses. Yes, the co-opted members of the SGBs, the amendment seeks to expand it, but there are latent defects that I want to highlight. There is Section 23, subsection 8, has limitation on co-opted members, but the legislation does not address the issue of the chairing of subcommittees of SGBs by co-opted members. If those co-opted members would then be allowed to chair those committees, how then do we deal with subsection 8 of Section 23? In an event there is an impasse in that subcommittee, whilst there are limitations on the person who may be a co-opted member chairing that committee, because he wouldn't be able to exercise the casting vote. So that is the latent defect in the original act. Now, if it's expanded, it's going to cause more complication in the implementation and application of the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone, Chairperson, Honorable, and the panel. My name is Lata Mkhwetyana, and I am a lecturer at Cedar International Academy, a teacher training institution. As a citizen, I exercise my right to express my views on the proposed Bella Bill, and I reject it in its entirety. It is disheartening that we, as a nation that prides itself on democracy, find ourselves discussing matters that threaten its very essence. It has become apparent that our democratic principles have been undermined. I direct this message to the Department of Basic Education as it finds itself in the mouth of this ferocious monster. I am a teacher who is zealous and passionate about education. However, it is in my wildest dream, I never imagined that selling alcohol would be regarded as a form of fundraising for educational activities, let alone school buildings could be used for such purposes. Have you run out of parks and open spaces due to your adherence to the Green Movement policies that you would resort to turning learning institutions into taverns, grooming delinquents, and perpetuating illiteracy? Such practices will undermine the respect and trust that should exist between teacher and students, particularly if students were to become tipsy while in the presence of their pupils. I know that as a teacher, we all know that the children will start attacking each other with the bottles left during after hours pub. You are educating us with comprehensive sexual education. Now it's alcohol. What institutions are you transforming schools into? And what careers do you want the children to take? It is no surprise that sex work is proposed to be legal in this country. Dots are connecting. You yourselves never needed to learn comprehensive sexuality education in your time, yet you have our children, and you have children and are married even. Why should this generation be experiment on sexual practices? The wisest man ever lived on the face of earth said, "Do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires." Solomon chapter 8 verse 4. You did not want to listen to the Bible when it provided the simplest prevention method. I thank you.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sandra Lawrence. I am from Pietermaritzburg and I oppose the bill as it currently stands. I have often felt proud to live in a country where we have so much freedom under one of the most excellent and progressive constitutions in the world. Reading the clauses of the proposed Bella Bill has dampened that pride and my hopes that such freedoms will continue. This proposed bill seems to contrast with our excellent and life-giving constitution. The primary responsibility of educating children falls to parents, and the Bella Bill, specifically clause 37 that relates to homeschooling, is a stark overreach of the role of government in the lives of the citizens that it serves. We should not ask for permission to educate our own children. It is our right to do so, and I ask that you would change that clause to notification rather than asking of permission. We have 5 children, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Because I, their mother, spend my days with them, I'm able to carefully choose their curriculum and to teach them in a way that meets them where they're at. I spend time each day with each of my children, reading to them, monitoring their progress, and see how they are processing skills, ideas, and information. An annual assessment of my children is not necessary, as I am aware of their individual progress in subjects daily. We also have a daughter with learning challenges, and proposing that she be repeatedly is in no way in her best interests. It would be unnecessarily traumatic and would give us no further information regarding her cognitive abilities and challenges. What she needs is individual tutoring, time to work at her own pace, and specialized programs. This she receives daily in our home, where she is nurtured and cared for as a learner and a human being made in the image of God. Instead of requiring that families use state-approved curricula and requiring external examinations administered by the state, I propose that homeschooling families keep a record of work that is done and progress made, and this would be a much more accurate representation of what is happening in the homes of home educating families and the learners that they serve. Strong, healthy families with attentive parent teachers produce strong, flourishing children who go out to be useful and productive citizens in our country. Healthy families make for a healthy and well-functioning society. By impeding our families' right to educate our children in our own home using internationally recognized curricula that is well suited to their needs, you are limiting the rights of these young South Africans who are indeed the adults of tomorrow. We need a solid base of citizens who are able to contribute to our country in every way.
Hello. Honorable Chair and honorable members, my name is Sarah Gould. You hear my accent. I am a naturalized South African from Canada, and I want to start by thanking you for holding these public hearings today. I do not support the Bella Bill. I am in favor of education choice, that we as parents have the freedom to choose the education path that best suits our children. That's our right and our duty, all of us. As such, I oppose Clause 37 of the Bella Bill, which states that parents must apply to the head of department for the registration of the learner to receive home education, and that the head of department must approve the application. I just finished 17 years of homeschooling my 3 sons. I facilitated their education both here and in Canada. Most of that was had through good books and discussions, but also curriculums, meeting in groups with other homeschoolers, community classes, online classes, private lessons. And then in grade 11, they went to a brick and mortar school. 2 went to an independent school around the corner, and 1 is currently finishing at a government school. These are choices that we made as a family based on our values and our intimate knowledge of our children. My older boys have gone on to study here at university and to work. I'm also a teacher, and I've taught at public and private schools, institutions, universities, and I currently teach classes to home educating learners in the area. As a teacher, I have seen how essential education choice is for the sake of the learner. Concerns of malpractice and slipping through the cracks are misplaced. That is the minute minority. I work every day with home educating parents who are passionate about their children's whole lives, and I work with learners who are intelligent, diligent, curious, involved in their communities, and concerned for their nation. They have not opted out of society. They are being diversely educated in order to better be engaged in society. I am not against notifying the department of my choice to home educate. That's how it is in Canada. We notify the school board of our choice. I am not against the department doing contingency monitoring if there is third-party hard proof of harm. That is in line with the rights and duties of the state. Applying to home education and the department assessing and approving applications is unlawful and impractical. The specialized knowledge and the capacity needed to do this is substantial. This is not something that international homeschool policies model, nor is it the best way to spend our country's education funds. I ask that the department send back and redraft Clause 37 of the Bella Bill, this time consulting with the home education specialists and the community thoroughly. Thank you for your time.
Good day, Honourable, can you hear me? Good day, Honourable Chairman and Honourable Members. My name is Leanne Strange. I'm a homeschooling mother. My husband is an educator. A lot of what I'm going to say I'm actually repeating. We reject the Bella Bill in its entirety. Our main objection to the bill is in the area of homeschooling, Clause 37. The point of home education is to suit your child's education to their unique individual needs. The clause gives the impression that it is allowing parents to use any curriculum of choice, but in this clause, it requires that parents apply for a child to be homeschooled, and once a pre-registration home visit is done, which parents are not very comfortable with due to safety and other reasons, if the child is accepted, the parent must follow a list of requirements that are more suited to the CAPS curriculum, including annual assessments by a SACE qualified teacher. Most SACE qualified teachers, not all, but most, are trained in using the CAPS curriculum. This assessor, at the expense of the parent, needs to draw up an annual report. If the assessor does not understand how homeschooling works, it will not give an accurate reflection of the child's progress. The beauty of homeschooling is that children can have the flexibility of pursuing subjects at a different pace, which can mean different subjects on different grade levels, using an integrated study option, thereby accommodating both neurotypical learners and neurodiverse learners. Online schooling offers new, forward-thinking and up-to-date methods of learning that offer easy accessibility and at a more reasonable fee than one would expect. However, this requires a lot of clarity in the bill. I don't have time to go into that now. CAPS is fairly well laid out, but it's content heavy, does not allow for much flexibility, and it can be restrictive. It also requires a lot of administration. According to the bill, homeschool registration can be cancelled even after a child has been registered to homeschool for some time. This would mean children would need to attend mainstream school, creating a lot of insecurity and unnecessary stress for both parents and children, and subjecting them to a system that may not be in their best interest, and certainly not something that they're familiar with. If a child does not perform adequately in school, he or she is not forced to move to another school. In fact, there are times when children do not meet the requirements for the grade, but they move to the next grade. I feel that an additional alternative method of accountability should be established.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of Parliament, and parents. Firstly, I would like to say thank you so much for the opportunity, and I accept the bill. And although I've got a couple of questions to ask, I know the time is not enough to do that, to go through that. I've got some suggestions as well. Couple of suggestions that I think the committee must look at.
Please tell us your name, introduce yourself, and then proceed. Thank you.
Sorry for that. My name is Arthur. I'm representing Orient Heights Primary School. As I said, I welcome the bill. It's been a long time. I've been involved with the governing of the school since from 2004, coming way back from Zululand. And I find myself every time on the same situation whereby we have the issues with finances at school. Most of the time, you find that we don't have sufficient funds for the school, for the things to run the school, especially when it comes to your water, electricity, and the rest. I wouldn't like to go through everything. I said I've got some suggestions. I heard that on the media, it's been going on that they're talking about closing some of the schools in the province. I can't remember the number or whether it was said or not. But I've got a problem with that. Firstly, the existing schools that have got transport, they're not getting any transport. There are issues around that. So I suggest maybe the committee must look at the transport. In terms of finances, with the school, the committee must look at the quintal. Some of the schools, they are placed on the wrong quintal by the look of things. And the most important one that I keep on finding every time, security at schools. It's a big problem, it's a big challenge. I know some of the bills will be talking about alcohol next to schools and all those things, but there is an issue with security. It's quite a big issue. And on the bill itself, there is a bill that will actually talk about closing of the school. I think the committee must actually look into that thoroughly as well, because that doesn't come from Norway. So it gets to that point when there are involved parties can't do anything. I'm not saying, or I'm not promoting that the parents must close the school.
Your time is up.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chairman and Honourable Members. My name is Sharon Strange. I'm currently a tutor and I have done classroom teaching as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Most of my concerns pertaining to homeschooling have already been addressed, but I do just want to mention very briefly, closing smaller schools and making access to homeschooling more difficult will contribute to our current problem where we have too few teachers and too many learners in a class, which is compromising our standard of education. Also, when it comes to home inspections of home schools, having a stranger come into your family's home is often something very dangerous. So I'd like to ask what procedures or what is in place to make sure that the people who are coming in to inspect are safe and have been, that's been verified about them. Another clause that I'd just like to address is clause 41, which will grant the minister the power to make decisions pertaining to abortions when it comes to learners, and also allow the minister to basically penalize those who don't follow the rules that have been put into place. We know that abortion and certain contraceptives can have long-term psychological effects on people, especially learners who are still developing. And sometimes physical effects as well. And I'd just like to ask, why is the Minister of Education the best person to make that decision? Why do they know what is best for the child better than the parent who loves them and raises them? And I'd just like to ask the parents, can you imagine being in a situation where you have to serve jail time because you refuse to take your 12-year-old daughter for an abortion? Because this is such a serious matter, I believe there should be a form of accountability regarding the decisions that are put into place in this regard that matches the degree of seriousness of the issue. I also believe that it could possibly be manipulated and used to cover up sexual abuse in certain cases. Unfortunately, that is an issue in our country, and I'd like to ask, what is there that's going to prevent people in the education system using this to cover up abusing children? Thank you so much for your time.
Before you sit down, before you take a seat, could you please state whether you support or you do not support the bill?
I apologize, sir. I'm against the bill in its entirety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'm coming to this side. Sir, ma'am, number 2, number 3, Baba, number 4, Baba Ngeskogo, number 5, they're waving the paper. I'm gonna go number 6, Baba with my glasses, red shirt. I'm gonna come this side, gentleman with the glasses. Yes. Number 6, yes, you. The one with the mustard shirt, yes. I would have said cap. The lady with the green and white dress, yes. You are number 8. Looking for number 9. Number 9, Baba. Black jacket, yeah, number 9. Number 10, pink. Yes. We don't have any more chairs, right? All right. I'm going to repeat. You can drop